will know. I don't think it's that simple. There's nothing, no group.
Yeah, dude, people are celebrating this because of, not because of white supremacist attitudes that they have, but because they were very upset about the ways in which black people were protesting. It wasn't just black people either. It was everybody protesting.
In D.C., city workers tearing up Black Lives Matter Plaza, permanently removing the massive BLM street mural that was.
I think this is a perfect demonstration of the hollow, silly nature of this administration's actions. It's just like petty grievances being addressed in this way. Like, oh man, it's like it was a symbolic thing that the previous admin did. It was already performative. And now they're doing performative anti-wokeness. Liberals do performative wokeness. Republicans do performative anti-wokeness. Okay? Obviously, morally speaking, performative wokeness, given that it's a virtue signal, is still going to be better than performative anti-wokeness, which is vice signaling. But having said that, that's all this is. It's pure performance.
Painted outside on the street just...
It's like Nancy Pelosi kneeling with a kente cloth and then these guys turning around and basically sig heiling. The only problem there, of course, is that when you're doing performative anti-wokeness and you're doing performative vice signaling, it has a very different impact than performative wokeness. Performative wokeness, for the most part, simply makes the person engaging in the act feel better, feel like they're morally righteous. Performative anti-wokeness, on the other hand, does have a tendency to normalize really dangerous and really violent rhetoric, really violent ideas, okay? Not saying that the destruction of the BLM Plaza is amplifying really dangerous and really really violent ideas. It's simply one aspect of this. I think that the aspect of this that is way more devastating is the actions being taken by the Trump administration. But that's all this is. It's just like, oh yeah, it's no different than telling Target they can't sell fucking, I don't know, gay pride flags on Pride Month or whatever.
North of the White House. Griff Jenkins is on the plaza now, which is north of H Street, just north of Lafayette Square, right in front of the White House. It's about 300, 400 yards away, just to give everybody the lay of the land. What are you seeing out there right now, Griff?
Yeah, John, good afternoon, and that's a good point. We are just steps from the White House. Actually, I'll just spin for just a second, Les. You can see, remember the St. John's Church, the center of the riots and protests of the BLM in the summer of 2020? Obviously, this here is where they erected this Black Lives Matter Plaza and painted on the street. But as you mentioned, it's not just being painted over, John. It's being torn up. Let me show you. We've just watched hours of a jackhammer tearing up some bollards that lights on them. This is where the word matter was. The next block, lives, and the next block, black. So these crews are out here actually tearing up the bollards to begin tearing the entire street up. It says it's going to take them days to do this because of...
How are people happy with the BLM Plaza thing? Even racist? What do you get out of it? They imagine that like black people are triggered by this, not realizing that black people by and large are probably not surprised by this at all. And that I mean, it just gives them more of an opportunity to be like, we own them, we triggered them, you know? Like, look at the glee demonstrated by Fox News for this otherwise like symbolic act of virtue signaling. They're like, oh, this is so sick. It's so dope. You didn't do shit. Okay. Oh my God. You destroyed this symbolic gesture that did not accompany any sort of serious, tangible legislative changes that were being made, demands being made by activists on the streets with mass protests. There's not really much to reverse because the liberals didn't do the actual tangible legislative changes. I think this call for the perspective of the largest commentator on the internet. What?
And so, and you can see, obviously, like there's a lot of people who are positive. What's really important, right? I mean, whether this is happening or not doesn't really matter a whole lot to me. It's whether people are supporting it. And I think that people are supporting this in a mass amount, right? And so I think the reason why is that The reason why is that in the 2020 like BLM riots, there were a lot of people who were violent. They were looting stores. They were destroying property. They were not doing. They were not really protesting, right? These are violent, dangerous people doing this, and so because of that, average, everyday people don't want to live in a society where a group of people gets together and they burn down a building. This is true in every civilized country in the world. It's true in China. It's true in Russia. It's true in Europe. And it's true in, I don't know, like probably most places in South America too. Nobody wants to do that.
Not true in France.
So, yeah, not so out there. Just say blacks. Well, no, I don't think it's that simple. There's nothing, no group.
Yeah, dude, people are celebrating this because of, not because of white supremacist attitudes that they have, but because they were very upset about the ways in which black people were protesting. It wasn't just black people either. It was everybody protesting. Yeah. Let's not focus on the demands that were being made and whether or not they were reasonable. And let's focus on the ways in which some of the major protests, out of like 90, I think it was like 95% that were not violent at all. They were mostly peaceful protests. And let's focus on the 5% that turned violent as a direct consequence of police brutality, considering that it was a police brutality protest. Of course, police being brutal created this kind of response. Anyway, yeah, I doubt that he would have a similar, maybe he'd have a similar take on Confederate statues being removed. I don't know.
People has a monopoly on doing like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, in the direct aftermath of the first BLM protest, like 54% of Americans thought burning down the Minneapolis police precinct was justified after George Floyd's death. So he wasn't even, I mean, he's not even entirely correct on that. That where, you know, you had like racist white Americans who were just like, yeah, that makes sense. That's crazy.
Crazy, stupid shit like this. I think it's very reductive to say, oh, it's black people doing this whenever you have white people doing it with Teslas as well. Like, we literally just got done watching a video of that. So this whole idea of like, this is some kind of like.
Yeah, I am more interested in trying to figure out why people are this angry and this resentful. There might be, if you were to look at that, maybe you would find out that there is good reason for them to feel this way, even. Just a thought. You know,
race thing, it's just a waste of time, and it's not helping anybody.
Back in 2016, 2020, I wasn't a leftist, and my take was they shouldn't target stores, they should target government buildings. Yeah. New declaration by Halil's attorney says she filed his habeas petition while he was still held in New York City, but that federal authorities moved him to New Jersey within around 12 hours of his Saturday night arrest and moved him to Louisiana by midday Sunday. Yeah, guys, any day now. The removal of like Black Lives Matter from Black Lives Matter Plaza is going to make egg prices plummet. Okay, I promise. Don't look at the Dow; it's gonna flick back up, dude. NASDAQ watch down 4%. Guess what, dude? Right after this is turned into like White Lives Matter Plaza or whatever the they want to do, I'm certain that this will turn around. We'll be going to the moon. Yeah, I saw Nick Mullins tweet. He said, I support Hamas and I will never go back to my home country of Aruba right on the beach at White House.
Of the amount of work, but they're ultimately going to return Main Street back to just a paved road. No, nothing painted in here. No Black Lives Matter, just a two-way either way, the way it was before the mural. It comes as we're seeing D.C. also clearing out those homeless encampments, and of course the effort to bring the federal workers back to work as well, and cracking down on crime, all a part of what President Trump calls making D.C. great again. John, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Griff Jenkins for us on the formerly named Black Lives Matter Plaza. They've gotten a long way to the demolition so far. Griff, thank you.